Hey guys, Wow Swag here. So this is going to be episode 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 101. This is going to be on consistency and playstyle. So I've laid out my hero build that I've recently completed and had well, I haven't tested it yet, but I've done like a playtest in terms of like I've sat down with a friend and, gone through it and things like that. Talked to people over Skype, talked about card choices, talked about things like that. So, this is my version of the deck. I have certain things that I always like to play in decks, regardless of what it is, really, unless the deck, obviously doesn't need it. That's things like the triple MST, for example. So I'm just going to go over this quickly. Not really a deck profile, because I'm not going to explain choices, but I'm going to just go over it and just so you have an idea. So I have the 3 alias, Stratos, 1 Bubbleman, 1 Stratos, 1 Bubbleman, 1 Chevalier, and 1 Thrasher, 2 Beast King, 2 T Kings. That's my monster lineup. So there's only there's 11 monsters. So that's kind of small, but for heroes it's actually almost big, considering what some of them play. 3 Miracle Fusion, 3 Gemini Spark, 3 MST, 2 Eco, 1 Rhoda, 1 and then the staple, 3 staples. I'll get to that in a bit. 2 Deep Prisons, 2 Skill Drains. The chain is supposed to be a Hero Blast, but I'm just using chain for now. 2 Solemn Judgments. They're Japanese ones, but I have English ones in another deck. 2 Bottomless, 2 TT, Treasure Tribute, 1 Dark Bribe, and 1 Starlight Road. That's my hero build. Now, what consistency means, it can mean different things to different people, obviously, but the general term of consistency in Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be how consistent can you get your combos? How consistent can you draw into things you need? How consistent can you control things? That's consistency. So, for example, I have 4 Geminis in the deck. I have the 3 Alias and the 1 Evocator Chevalier. So I have 4 targets for Gemini Spark. I also, when the deck is totally done, will have 2 Hero Blast, which allow me to recycle the alias that are in my graveyard back to my hand. So the consistency of me having a Gemini Spark and a Gemini becomes much better. I also have 3 searching cards, which are Rhoda and the 2 E-Calls, where I can search for either any of the E-Heroes in my deck, so Bubbleman, Stratos, or Alias, or any Warrior in my deck, level 4 Warrior, which is anything from here forward. So those 3 searching cards allow me to get those. I only have 2 Thunder Kings, so that those effects aren't he doesn't shut down my own effects. As you can see, most of my cards, except for Bubbleman and Stratos, are 1900 or above, Thrasher being 2100. This deck is not the Bubbleman Turbo build, where it just shoots out Blade Armor and Excalibur and everything like that. This is more of a control build. As I said, that's another thing I'm going to get into. So, the consistency of this deck works because I can stall with all of my traps. My large trap lineup. They allow me to stall so that I can get these combos off if I don't draw into the first turn, or if they set me back by something. Now, just playing max numbers of cards doesn't mean that you're going to get better consistency, because it could clog if you can't use that said card without using another card. Things like this would be like, you don't want to draw 3 tour guides, because then you're ending up neg-1ing yourself, which is a card advantage, and I'm going to get into that in a different video, and by taking it out of your hand instead of the deck. Okay, so now we have that rounded up, I'm going to go into staples. What a staple card is. Now, yes, Staples is a store in Canada, and I guess it's in the States too, and it's also a little thing you put in paper kind of thing. But what it means in Yu-Gi-Oh! As a staple means there's certain cards for an archetype and or just general cards that are considered a must-have. For example, in today's hero builds, Neo Salius and Elemental Hero Stratos are staple cards. It's not that you have to run them, it's that it's generally a good idea to. More forms of staples would be things like Reinforcements of the Army, Monster Reborn, Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, and MST. Those are generic staples that can go in multiple decks. Other trap staples could be things like Bottomless Trap Hole, Torrential Tribute, Solemn Warning, and even to an extent Starlight Road. Things like Skill Drain, Deprison, and Venus Chain are all kind of they're tech choices that you put in there to add on to things. For competitive hero drain or the current idea of heroes, you also use Gemini Spark along with Hero Blast to constantly reuse the monsters you have. Miracle Fusion allows you to get access to your Omni heroes, which are the new heroes, like Zero, Shining, Gaia, Nova Master, and in August is Steridao, the Dark One. And then Super Polymerization becomes part of this deck as well, and the other things are taken out. Now, what separates my ideas of this deck from others is that I run 3 MST. Most hero decks don't because Gemini Spark controls the field so well. But I find that at my current location, there's so many decks with heavy back row that I just can't rely on that one Gemini Spark play. I really have to hit those random, MSTs. So that was my talk on consistency and staples. I'm a little bit over 5 minutes, and I'm going to try and cut it down a bit. But, so, the next video will probably be on... I'm not quite sure at the moment what it's going to be on, but I'm thinking it's going to be on archetypes and choosing an archetype to your playstyle, since I didn't really get into playstyle today, or this episode, I guess. So next will definitely be on choosing an archetype for your playstyle. And until next time, guys, see ya.